Aloha, everybody. This is Urotherapy training course number 29, third class. And we're all the students have arrived perfectly. They brought their water. Let's get started with a communion. And this morning, we're going to do it a little bit differently. Not going to read a prayer from a book. I'm going to give you the option if you'd like to offer a communion word or two or statement, or you want to bump it back to me.
Oh, geez, put me on the spot.
That's what
Um,
teachers do.
I guess I'll give it a go. Dear universe, thank you for providing everything we need within us, and hopefully more people, as they come to that realization, will accept their golden plasma water as the healing device that they truly need. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Ding.
Ding.
1 hour old.
Mine's about 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Trade you. Yeah, I've really enjoyed sharing with some of my friends. It's true. I learned that from Doc Mike Woodtor. He's shared with 50 of his clients, even those that he had clients that had cancer and diabetes and all kinds of stuff, just to prove people the medicine is what comes out of you, even though the doctor said you have this illness. The same thing applies. You've got to get the nutrients and stem cells and power back into the body so it can clean you out.
I was just reading that in the book the other day.
It's true. So, and now would be a good time for questions if you have any you want to throw out.
Well, I guess I'll start with that. So I reached out to a friend the other day, and I was also reading that what was it? The ropeworm ascension protocol that was posted in the Telegram. And I won't go into specifics, but I brought that up to her, and she's like, "Oh, well, I have mycotoxins in my urine," and I was like, "Okay." So she like immediately said, no, I don't think that would be a good idea because I have mycotoxins in there. And I kind of made the comment. I was like, well, not professional advice, medical blah 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 disclaimer. But it filters through. So like the more that you filter it, the cleaner it becomes. Do you have any word on mycotoxins?
Yeah, same thing applies for whatever else they find in the urine, whether it's microtoxins, whether it's metals, chemicals, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the inside scoop on this, and those that will watch this video afterwards, they'll get it. What the medical profession is doing, and the only thing they're doing when they look at someone's urine, their whole parameter is to identify and isolate something. So they identify and isolate something. They can go, oh, we found these microtoxins inside your urine. Oh, by the way, we have a remedy or an operation, and they can get you into their spell. What they're not doing, see, these are the parameters. This is the variables they're looking for. What they're not doing is looking to determine if it's got any benefits or danger to the human body. Because if they brought that out into conversation, it would expose their lie. So all they can do is use what they were taught to do, is isolate and identify and then offer remedies.
Because I would assume that that would be similar to any other toxins that you're expelling, is that when you're putting them back in, you're creating that the auto vaccine, or you're vaccinating yourself against whatever it is that you're trying to fight.
Yeah, people know about that when they started teaching people homeopathy, and they would take snake venom, dilute it down 100 times, and then they would tell someone, take this in your body in case you get bit by a snake. This will be the remedy for that. Well, it's the same thing. It's the similar. Next question.
Speaking of venom, the other day we were out looking at our land that we had just purchased, and apparently there was a giant centipede or millipede on my son's foot, and he like freaked out right away and pulled it off. He's like, those are the poisonous ones. I was like, you don't need to worry about poisonous stuff, bud. Just chill out. Said, just pee on it. You'll be fine.
Which is true.
Yes.
One of those walked by. We had a huge bonfire at the beach last Friday. And a centipede about that long goes wiggling over the sand. And a
Oh.
guy who knew what I'm into turns to me and says, urine, right? Yeah. Mhm. We've got our safety measure right here.
Yeah, yeah. And thinking about, because I mean, obviously there's like a lot more dangerous kind of, maybe not like the alligators would help with that, but like different bug bites and poisonous bugs and things down here, snakes even. Like, I'll be honest, I was kind of like, that was one of the things gave me anxiety about moving down here. But like, the more that I've done research on this stuff, I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. We know what to do now. So if anything like
Yeah.
that ever happens, don't worry about it. It won't happen.
Don't attract it to yourself. And you could always notice that the indigenous people, the folks who've lived there for multiple generations, it's not an issue for them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The other question I had, and I posted it in the Telegram, was about the telomeres, like telomere lengthening. Because I assume that because urine also repairs your DNA and telomeres are part of your DNA, as you continue with like the saturation protocols, that would also to help lengthen your telomeres as well.
That's what stem cells are designed for,
Perfect.
is to be categorized and classified for whatever the body is requiring at any particular moment.
Awesome.
Pretty intelligent body.
It is. I just find it amazing because I feel like I didn't even like know how my body actually worked until like a year or two ago when I like actually started studying it. Like, there's so much more to learn still, but you don't, because we've been so conditioned to like compartmentalize. Well, if I have a headache, it's got to be, I must have hit my head, or it can't be stress related, or it can't be related to the foods that I was eating or all that sugar that I ate the other day. So yeah, just it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Learning new
So
stuff all day.
every day. That's what's part of us. Humans are evolving. So we're going into the book. Let's see, 11:30, 12:30, 1 o'clock. We'll take a break at 1 o'clock. All right. We're on page 104 in the old version, tongue cleaning. Have we done that guy yet?
Yes, I think we left off right before the part about the navel.
Oh, sweet. All right. Everybody knows what a belly button looks like, so I don't have to show you mine.
Here we go.
Page 105. You have a same copy, or you've got the other?
I printed mine out.
Nice, nice. All right, well, let's get into it. Why would we put orin in our belly button? The belly button, also known as the nabhi, I believe that may be Sanskrit, is an amazing gift that was given to us. According to science, the first part that takes form after conception is the navel. After it is created, it joins the mother's placenta through the umbilical cord. Our navel is surely an amazing thing. All veins are connected there. The belly button is life. The Pachadi is the name of the bit that's left over after the umbilicus has been cut at birth, is behind the navel, which has more than 72,000 veins. It's got to impress anybody. The total amount of blood vessels we have in our body is equal to double the circumference of the earth. That's pretty impressive. It seems that in Ayurveda, the belly button is used as a portal to deliver nutrients or medicines into the body. Now we know that all humans have a belly button unless you were born with an umbilical hernia and have it surgically repaired, leaving you without a belly button. But not every mammal has belly buttons. Kangaroos and platypuses are without a belly button. Dolphins are not. Belly buttons have a lot of bugs in them. Of course, people don't want to talk about that, right? Some 2,400 is like parasites. We don't want to talk about that. Some 2,400 different species have been looking in the navel, and everyone's belly button bugs are a different composition. It could be a gross mixture of fibers, hairs, and dead skin cells. You may be wondering, how's the belly button so powerful? It's about location. The belly button is near the center of your abdomen and around your gravity, center of gravity, also known as the third chakra, core, or center. It sits over your intestines and major lymph nodes and blood vessels, and it's near your vagus nerve, which is responsible for the rest and digestion functions of the body. Unlike the rest of the abdomen, there's little to no muscle behind the navel, which makes it perfect access point to your belly. The rest of your body connects to the belly button by fascial trains that cross near it. It's also the entrance point for major energy centers in your lower abdomen. Navels are important reflexology points that stimulate the whole body. So how can you harness the power of your belly button? We have known that to lower the temperature for babies, we put a cotton swab with alcohol in the navel. Now we know that using Orin is a lot better and safer. Your navel can detect which veins are dried up, and by putting Orin, these nerves open up. Applying Orin in the navel heals the dryness of the eyes, poor vision, pancreas, heals, chapped lips, keeps the face bright, the hair healthier, knee pain, the chills, lethargy, pain in the joints, and dry skin. How do you apply it?
The cotton ball on the belly button.
That's one way to do it. What else?
I would assume just submerging yourself in the bath would also be one pretty effective way. Dropper. Oh, there was one I heard where if you put a drop in the belly button and a drop on the top of the head, it's supposed to balance your body's magnetic field.
All right. Is that simple? Is that similar to a Mobius strip where you got the infinity symbol where it goes one way and loops around?
Maybe.
I don't know. These are all good theories. So the other thing you could use is a washcloth
Yes.
or any kind of material. So what we've got here, and I'm not going to go into it, is there's a list of things that using this technique or this protocol can be applicable to. Pimples, acne, glowing face, hydrates, moistens, improves fertility, and the list goes on. Menstruation, joint pain, stomach issues, blood flow, constipation, arteries. I mean, if you got constipation, you'll try anything, right? Put stuff in the belly button, give yourself enema. Now, there are people in this community who do an enema every day. And what I noticed the other day, I've been doing these parasite formulas and doing enemas again. I've noticed there are levels of purity that you can attain. Not only are you getting purer, you're also getting younger. You're also getting more youthful. You're also reclaiming your innocence. In case they try to squeeze that out of our memory. Right? So, the advantages of belly buttons are yet to be discovered. This was only published in 2020. So keep experimenting. I guess some people, they would just stick a cotton ball in there and maybe have something heavy over it. So in case they roll over at night, or they'll tape it on with duct tape. Who knows?
Or those, when you do the castor oil packs, like the wraps for the castor oil packs. Be ineffective.
Same kind of thing. And what I added into my notes is it's good for treating allergic reactions, as well as doing injections and sniffing up the nose.
I'm easing myself into that. I do my spray and then I put my head upside down. Yeah, first time I did it, there was a very clear, like, went right up into the left side and I could like feel it like behind my ear almost. And I was like, whoa, that did something new.
Yeah, if you've never experienced, it's a little bit unsettling at first. It's not like anything's hurting you, but your awareness is moving into places you never thought you could have awareness, which is far out. Now, one of my students and the person who's organizing the Botswana Africa event, Stampana, she posted herself drinking through the nose this morning. And
Oh,
what she did was she just took the glass and bent forward and drank it up that way. If I find it, I will post it once again. But
yes, please do.
she was sharing that.
Wonderful.
And then this morning, someone had to share me about male giraffes and female giraffes.
Okay.
And he comes behind the female giraffe while she's urinating and stick it out his tongue, takes a little bit in his mouth, and his senses know if she's in heat. She's
Mm-hmm.
putting out pheromones.
Mm,
I'm
makes
going,
sense.
we haven't figured that one out. And we spent all this time trying to, dance around the subject. All I have to do is have a little drink and go, okay, this is what I'm picking up from you. Should we advance on that?
I would assume the same would apply for humans once you're, you're cleaned out and can, pick up on those higher senses.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we get there. All right. Any questions about our lovely navel, our center of our body?
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Something to explore more, definitely.
So now we're going into evolving our evolutionary origin. Now, for those who don't understand where I come up with these ideas or these terms, it's something I've been doing for 30, 40 years, and that is give our human language an upgrade. Because the human language doesn't seem to empower people. One of the first things I did, I was with a buddy, we were Course in Miracles students. We each took an expression and we rewrote it. And so I changed the expression, thank you, you're welcome, to thank you, you're worth it. And that became a movement in
Mm.
the 80s. People are saying, you're worth it, you're worth it, you're worth it. And then I hear Tyra Banks say it, and Oprah said it, and L'Oreal put it into their promotion of their perfume. And I realized they just stole my idea, but that's okay.
Ah, where are the royalties, man?
I know, I would be uber rich by now with that. So evolutionary describes what really goes on with our water. Right? And if people look at the terms aged and aging, it makes you think, well, someone's losing their strength, they're getting older, weaker, et cetera, et cetera. So I changed it to evolved, and evolving as more of a metaphor for us as humans.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so it always amazes me, Keegan, when I put an idea out there in the mass consciousness, so all the guys in the community, what ideas they embrace and they use. So I hear people say evolving. I hear people say saturation dosing. I hear people say all kinds of stuff that just came to me in a moment of inspiration, and it stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So
Beautiful.
you never know. Evolved or evolving Orin, this is page 112, last two paragraphs. It's an evolutionary idea. According to this theory, every second your Orin is outside of your body. And that includes the moment you collect it, for you people who still think that evolving or aged urine happens days, weeks, months down the road. It happens the moment you collect it. It increases potency, skin cells, stem cells, life force, Shakti, frequency, all collected or comes already activated and immediately becomes enhanced and amplified, which is the evolutionary power of our water. The more you study the water, the more you will be in awe of what your body's capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole idea. And you come to realize this was by divine design. And now it would be a good time for the world to catch it.
I absolutely agree, considering, the not to go on the whole medical system thing, but I was reading more of Your Own Perfect Medicine last night, and in that section about just how uneducated or unknowledgeable, maybe that's a better term, the medical community, the professional medical community actually is. Maybe I'll write a book on that at some point.
Yes. So that would lead us down another rabbit hole. So we're going to
Oh, yes.
stay away from that one. So what I've done here in this chapter is to bring in some of the teachings of other people that have written about the subject. Monica Shute, has that name ever come across your awareness?
Yes. Yep. She's one of the first people I think I saw take a bath. And I was like, ooh, that's a good idea.
I know, and she looked like a frog. No, she's bent. She got her legs back, and she's in the redwood tub with the.
Yep. Yep.
I'm going. Definitely a pioneer.
Yep.
So Monica gained popularity, and she was what I preferred as our poster child because she was ageless,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So she never aged. She was always present and a great attitude, and she got really popular on all these social media platforms, and then she dropped off, right? Three or
Mm-hmm.
4 years later, people going, "What happened to her?" Well, she finally reached out to me, and we tried to do an interview together for several years. It never clicked. Well, she's now in Southeast Asia, and her husband are working on opening up a raw vegan restaurant. And she
Oh, wow.
says when she's ready, she's going to come back to social media.
That's amazing.
She got inundated by social media overload and had to pull away.
Yeah, that's understandable.
That's why I go to the beach. So this is some writings from Monica. Not going to go into great detail here because we've got plenty of book left. She does make mention of not boiling your orin. Did I bring that subject up once?
Yes, but I don't think we really went into the reasoning behind it. I would assume that it kind of kills off a lot of the good stuff in it, enzymes and whatnot, because that's obviously one of the big things with the raw food movement is why you don't cook your food is because you want to preserve the enzymes. So I would assume the same would be applicable for orin as well.
Yes, and delicate, sensitive nutrients,
Mm-hmm.
the enzymes. So that's the reason not to do it. However, there are people who experiment and boil it, and they go out on their own on that one. I'm not saying don't. What I'm saying is, here's why not to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at a retreat in Portland, my son was there boiling orin over on the stove. I'm going, what's going on? Oh, yeah, this would be a whole lot of fun. Put your head over it as the steam goes up, and you can exfoliate and clean out your pores on your face. So we're all taking turns. We had a towel. We're underneath the boiling. I go, that's pretty far out. I'm not going to do that, but thank you.
Yeah. Just put it in your steamer instead. Probably get the same effects.
Yes. And then one of the students came on a training conference call she was from England, Chrissy Ann, who went by the name of Pian. She claims that when she took a pot of boiling orin outside of her apartment, it would disperse chemtrails that were above her apartment.
Mm.
And she only showed us once. It would have been nice if she did time-lapse photography so we would know what she was saying had some validity to it, but it was like a really far out idea.
Interesting. Yeah, because they have those, what is it, cloud busters that you can build?
Mhm.
Hmm.
With copper tubes.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. I don't know exactly how they work. I've just kind of very quickly researched them. I was still in the States because they were all over the place.
Yeah, well, it must work because I had a friend who built those in Boulder, and he put 4 of them. They were about 8 feet long. He put them into the earth next to my friend's garden, and I don't recall any chemtrails over his garden.
Hmm.
It could have been they don't spray in that part of town. I have no idea. Hard to say. All right, sediments found in orin. People are going to ask that question. What is that white stuff? It's either floating or it's on the bottom of the jar. And you know what that is?
That is the ormus, the crystallized, well, salt. It could be salt, first of all. But it's the let's say evaporated, crystallizes into ormus powder of gold.
You're cheating. You're looking at the book. It's concentrated nutrients, concentrated stem cells, concentrated white blood cells, concentrated everything. Right? Some people, they have it floating. Some people have it down at the bottom. Some people think it's like a kombucha starting mushroom. You can associate whatever you want with it, just don't throw it out.
Yeah, I'm curious as to like how to like harvest that and like what to do with it. That's one of my little notes here actually. So like when you have some stuff that's more evolved and like you have all the sediment in it, like can you strain it and dry it and then like capsulate it rather than just throwing it out?
Possibly.
Makes sense.
Some people strain it out, but they never tell me what they do with the strained out part.
Mm-hmm.
Do they use it, or do they throw it in their garden, or what do they do?
Yeah, I'd be interested to setting up a lab and like experimenting with this stuff has been on my list since I started. So
Let me make a note of that. Ask UT groups, what do they do with sediment, with white sediment in their urine? Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't throw it out, but everybody's different. Some people stir it up and they drink, and some people just use it externally. And then there's people, and I've been known to do this, is you don't clean your jar for like a year. You just you let it cake up inside the jar, and maybe someday you'll clean it out with a bottle brush or not. But it's always hilarious to me thinking, well, why am I cleaning it? Is there some form of germ or contamination in this jar? No, it's just concentrated on the edges of the jar, and it's how our mind interprets things.
yeah, yeah. But I think I said this on one of the other calls, but when I was saving like in a 5-gallon bucket and before I like knew more about the sediment, because I was saving in a 5-gallon bucket to do a bath. And when I had emptied the bucket, the whole inside of it was just like these little tiny crystals that were just spiking out. And I was just so fascinated by it. Of course, I didn't save it at that point, but you know, live and learn. Now I know.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to see it under a microscope.
Yes, also on my list of things to get. Get a microscope.
An electron microscope that can see 5,000 times magnification.
Yes.
Those are the big guns in microscopy. All right. Does the age stuff really have an odor is the last question. And the answer would be a yes or no. For most people, there may be an odor, but it's going to be an odor that reminds you of something, which is you. So not necessarily an offensive odor. After doing this for several years, I noticed that I was in love with it because that was my smell. It was like your partner has a certain odor, right? And you can recognize them in a room if your eyes are closed. You go, yep, that's Sean.
It's your essence.
It's your essence. It's your pheromones. It's your whatever. And for the most part, the ammonia smell evaporates.
What is the so I'm assuming it evaporates quicker if you have it uncovered or you have a breathable cover on it as opposed to having it sealed. But like on average, how long does it normally take for that? If it has like, is it a couple weeks, a couple months?
That's going to have different variables. I don't give pat answers.
I suppose it depends on what your diet was and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, what your diet is, environmental conditions, etc., all kinds of stuff. So it doesn't seem I've yet to have anybody who I've known or not known approach me and say, "You smell like piss." And if they did, I'd say, "Oh, I love you. Can I have a hug?" That was the nicest compliment you can ever give a pee drinking guy. So you can see it's all relative how people interpret things. Keegan, you smell like piss. Oh, I love you. Any questions about that subject? Evolving, evolutionary, orin.
I think there's so much about that that fascinates me. Like I said, I really want to set up some kind of lab to explore more of that because so many things.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Did I explain that there is no set standard of determining factors of what is considered evolved? What is the actual date when it's considered evolved? Because that's something that no one's quite nailed here in this community.
But well, yeah, because it just kind of continues to evolve,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process and it varies. That measurement varies from John W. Armstrong in 1944 when his measurement was 4 days.
Hmm.
And then there was Dr. Rosalind Hanson, who I met at the convention in Las Vegas. She said it was 9 months. And that because she related it to the gestation period
Mm.
of fetus
Okay.
baby. However, when you need it, you need it. When you got to get something healed, you got to get something healed. When you need to have it in your enema bag or in your eyes, wherever you need it, you're going, oh man, I can't use this for another 5 months. No. You see how dogma doesn't work in this path,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So it's already evolved, it's already powerful, it's already got what your body is requesting. That's when you use it.
Hmm.
Some people will put a date on their bottle so they can look back and go, oh yeah, that was May of 2023 or whatever their date is. So that's how they can justify it in their mind. Oh, this is older than that. This would be more potent than what I have fresh.
Hmm.
Just drink it. Just use it. So we're trying to
Said
simplify.
said somewhere about wine of the gods. And
Wine of the gods.
yes.
Yes. I'm sure Monica would have mentioned that and show it our gal, Ma Devi out in France. She calls it the nectar of immortality.
That's probably my favorite one so far.
I like it too because I'm doing more talks. By the way, I'm going to be starting a new show on holisticradio.org. It's a Telegram group, and all they do is audio. So the name of my show is Conversations That Matter. We're going to have the premiere show on the 1st of September,
Oh.
and that's going to be at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Hawaii time. Well, I'll know more once we get closer to it. And there's a Telegram group called holisticradio.org.
Look that one up.
We're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about physical mortality. We're going to talk about self-mastery. We're going to talk about how to exit the matrix. We're going to talk about what is really ascension, because
Mm.
I love to demystify all the spiritual terms. And when we turn off the recording, I'll give you an insight what ascension really is versus everybody else think ascension means you're going to beam up and go to a higher place.
Yeah, yeah. It's the ebook that I was reading talks about that. So
Timing.
good timing.
Good timing. All right. It's time to.
What's that you cut out?
You're jumping in the Orin bath now.
All right. I took mine this morning, so
How many gallons are in your tub?
um well I think the whole thing is like 85 because I bought one of those ice bathtubs. So I think the whole thing is like 85 and I think we started with like 24 gallons and then the rest is beauty water out of the Kangen water machine. So,
Okay. So it's about 25 gallons of it is the Orin.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So in an ultimate situation, the entire bathtub would be 100% of the Orin.
I'm saving more.
Yeah, just remember where you put the jars.
Oh yeah, no, we actually have because it would obviously I don't have like jars. The only thing we have right now is the like the giant Rubbermaids that we use to ship, like to move stuff here. So I'm just like collecting stuff in there, and those are like 24 gallons a piece. I was like, all right, I'll start with one, fill it up with water, and then we'll start a whole new batch where we can just do straight Orin in it. So that's where we're about a third of the way there.
Okay, I just want to remind the people who are going to watch this on the playback that if you want to leave your Orin in a jar and you'll decide to leave it outside or in the garage and you live in cold climates, I had to learn that lesson. Make sure that you leave about a 1-inch gap, because when it freezes and that expands, you'll have broken urine jars all over your garage, is what happened to me. I lost 6 gallons worth.
And make sure they're not touching either. I did that with bone broth, and I didn't realize they were touching, and it just gone, just shattered everywhere.
Okay, lesson learned. So
Now, I guess that brings me to the question. So obviously boiling it compromises the integrity. Does freezing it?
freezing is not proven to do that. And the only way we can know is to test it scientifically and measure it, which would be a great, let's put that down there. Research on frozen Orin. There may be somebody who's already done that research. And you got to figure out what is the parameters, what is it you're looking to see and determine by that process. Does it affect the potency? Does it destroy the structure? What will it do? So Orin bath is awesome for humans. Orin bath is awesome for pets. Anybody will benefit. What I've enjoyed, in couples who are in relationship often do this. I don't know about Sean. I'm not talking about you. Is that they'll take turns in each other's Orin bath.
Oh, okay.
All right. He goes and takes a bath when you're done. You go take a bath when he's done. You may decide to share the bath and give each other an Orin massage while you're together in the bath. All kinds of possibilities take place, and you're only going to benefit.
Well, he gets in the tub too, so not at the same time yet. I'm not sure if it's big enough, but
yeah, I got to experiment with a friend. I went to go visit her for 10 days, and she got out, I went in. She got out, dog went in. Everybody wants their time in their bath. All right, any questions about this lovely protocol called the Orin bath?
Highly suggested.
Highly suggested. And what do you do when the bath is done? How long do you keep the Orin in the bathtub? How many baths do you take before you decide to do something?
I don't empty it because it's not like a traditional tub, so it's just a standalone plastic ice bath. So yeah, I don't I don't empty mine. I would assume at some point it would probably be beneficial to maybe strain it as more sediment collects in it. So I know that was one thing Monica brought up in one of her videos. I don't know if there was a follow-up, but she was going to show kind of like how she strained it and cleaned it out. As long as possible, keep it. And when you don't need it anymore, don't let it go down the drain. Scoop it out and take it to your plants or soak your feet in it.
Yeah.
Do an enema with it.
Do an enema with it.
Put it in your colonic and all sorts of.
Go give gifts to your relatives. A gallon of my used Orin tub water. Welcome to the new paradigm. I think ultimately, if you had it on you had it in the garden and you're bathing in the garden, or if you have it out in the backyard, you can just let it out into the grass or the garden. But it all depends on how you have it set up. All right, any questions about bathing in Orin?
No.
Excellent, excellent. So skin conditions is pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to read some of the conditions that people will be using these for. Now, what it's doing when you're putting it on your skin, it's absorbing into the bloodstream through the skin. So it's either going to work directly on that condition, whether it's a bite, a sting, sunburn, third-degree burn, jellyfish sting, whatever it is, it's either going to work directly on that particular skin condition, but it's all in the bloodstream, and it's going to help your body overall. So it's always a good idea to do that. And a lot of people like myself, we're naturally doing massages every day on our skin anyway. So that's a preventative measure that you can take. So here's some of the conditions that we treat this for, that we're treating for. It's on page 123. Facial skin problems, blackheads, pimples, dark spots, pigment spots, dried or cracked skin, which would include eczema, acne, capillary bursts. You know what those are?
Yes, it's almost like it looks like little kind of veins that show up.
I always have samples, right? You can't see it. You can't see it, but there's a purple spot right there.
Okay.
And what happens is when you have thin skin and you brush up against something, the blood vessels burst. They call it a capillary burst. And the color changes from skin tone to a purple maroon color. And some people panic. But when you put Shivambu on it, 4 days, every time I did it, 4 days, it's healed. Now, before I knew about using Shivambu, I was using frankincense oil.
Okay.
And that's a backup if you didn't know about urine therapy. Apply it to the affected area, leave it on for at least 10 minutes. Whether you wash it off or let it dry, it's up to you. And what's happening is it's delivering vital nutrients from the tissues to the bloodstream. Anywhere you apply Orin on the body or drink it delivers nutrients everywhere in the body. And here's some more things you can treat it for. I have so much fun with the newbies. They say, well, I wouldn't drink it. I said, would you put your feet in it? Would you massage it over a skin condition? And they go, yeah, I'll do that. And then I'm smiling inside because I neglected to tell them that if you put it on your skin, you did drink it. You've already drank it. You just didn't see it go by your lips. So, so here's some other conditions this works wonders for. It's on page 124. Insect bites, ant bites, wasp, hornet, bee stings. When I was painting a mural at a house, I didn't know the look under the rafter where the roof meets the wall. And as I'm painting, here comes a couple of hornets. And good thing I was quick and I knew exactly what to do. I'm out in the back 40, nobody cares. So I decided to just collect some pee and put it all over there. And the intensity of the sting was getting less and less and less by the minute. There was no stinger. And it was like, oh, this works on that too.
Works on everything.
Everything. And you're going to have so many opportunities to test this out. Right? And then you'll own it and you go, what isn't it good for? It's amazing water. So here's some of the items. Jellyfish, also known as a man-o-war. And I'm always kidding the people here in Hawaii. They said, it's good for jellyfish stings, also known as a man-o-war. I said, well, how come it's good for jellyfish sting and nothing else? So they have to think about that one. Poison ivy, poison oak, burns, third-degree burns, whatever degree it is, sunburn, eczema, bruises, dried or cracked skin, cuts, scratches, wounds.
Also makes a good sunscreen.
It does. And if you find yourself and a place where you want to be out in direct sun, whether you have clothes on or not, and your buddies are slapping on SPF 37 or whatever those things, I don't know what those are called. You can smile because hours later they're still going to hurt and you won't. And I sure enjoy teasing my friends when we go to the clothing optional places and they're still hurting and I'm going la 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 la. And I got a suntan, it's lovely tan, da da da. All right, so these are some of the conditions. Apply it 2 or more times during the next 24 hours, and it'll add nourishment to the skin and the body. So whenever you have any of the skin conditions, apply it immediately. Don't wait. Put it on there, and then apply it as often as you can during the day, 2 or 3, whatever times, until you feel the sting's gone, the pain's gone, the urgency is over. And you're on that side of the recovery. Or in compresses. Or in compresses and body wraps. What's the difference? Do you know the difference between a compress and a body wrap?
Well, I would assume the compresses are just like on one specific part where the wrap is, or maybe it's you're just placing something on with a compress, and a wrap is like you're actually wrapping it around to keep it on.
Right. So compresses, you're going to lay it directly over that affected area. Now, back in the 80s, we used to do what was called herbal body wraps. And they would take out their herbs or essential oils and use a paintbrush and brush it all over the body, front and back, and then wrap you in some kind of cloth or plastic, whatever it is. So it's like a cocoon. It's like you're in a sauna.
Yep.
After an hour of heating up and sweating, these things are driven into the pores, into the body. So the same thing happens with the aura. And then when you're done, you're done. You unwrap and go about your day.
I tried
So-
that with like the clay wraps at one point many years ago.
Yeah.
Good times.
Well, it's the same thing, body wraps.
So what would be the benefit of doing a body wrap versus just getting in the tub?
Because when you're doing the body wrap, you're heating up and you're forcing it in.
Okay.
You're soaking it and it'll take as long as it takes for it to soak and absorb into the body. This is you're using the element of heat. Right? It's like when people go to a sauna, dry sauna or wet sauna, they're using the heat to drive it in. Or people in a far infrared sauna, they're using the red and the heat or whatever spectrum of color light to drive it into the body.
When I had my sauna, it's not here yet, but I would dry brush and then massage myself and then jump in the sauna.
Yeah. Do you find that helpful?
Oh yes, I felt amazing. So good. And my skin was like improving drastically, like very quickly. Not that I had like skin conditions to deal with, but just more like loose skin from weight loss and things like that.
Beautiful, beautiful. So this is compresses and body wraps. When we get to the part of this book about general treatment suggestions, you'll see that mentioned from time to time. If somebody has a liver condition, then you can put a compress right over the liver. Intestines, reproductive organs, back pain, whatever it is, you can do a direct compress applied to that area. Or you can decide, well, I just want my whole body treated, and you'll do a body wrap. Now, an Orin rubbing. What do you think an Orin rubbing is?
Just taking and rubbing it in.
In. Yeah, any place it needs it, you're going to rub it in. Use cotton balls, you can use washcloths. I demonstrated with the shower cap. You can put a shower cap over your head with the Orin. You can put it over your hands. You can put it over your feet. You can put it anywhere you want. And that's kind of like a body wrap for your head. A head wrap. So we're doing these rubbings to get it over those areas as soon as possible and to get it to soak and saturate in those areas. So whatever you use for general skincare, rashes, wounds, bites, whatever, then that's something you can do. If you don't have a washcloth, second best choice is your hand. And a lot of times, I'm going to say this off camera, a lot of times I'm in a public bathroom and I'm listening to see if anyone's coming in that door because my hand is underneath my pants, grabbing the water, either drinking, snorting, or rubbing it on myself and getting refreshed while I'm in a public bathroom.
Mhm.
And nobody noticed that when I walk out of the bathroom, I'm in a much better mood than I was when I. Now, if you ever get in an airplane and you do it in the airplane bathroom, you're going to feel like a secret agent.
Yeah, and then there ain't much room in there. I'd say.
There ain't much room, but I highly recommend it because you're subjected to cabin air, which is fake,
Mm,
fake water, fake food, no telling what kind of electronic devices are running through the plane and the cabin.
mhm,
So
mhm.
that to me is almost like protection from all those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Same with going in and out of the public when you're going in and out of the airport, the bus terminal, the train station.
We went into a public bathroom earlier when we were grocery shopping, and I looked down and I was like, I should have brought my spray bottle of pee to sanitize this.
Yeah, well, you're going to remember, you'll get a collapsible bottle.
Yeah.
That's something I had learned years ago because I was in the public a lot. I still am. And things attached to you, right? It could be
Mm,
emotional pollution from another person. It could be who knows what, but it's nice to have like an aura of protection.
mhm, mhm.
So keep your aura
An orin of protection.
Funny you should say that. My buddy Tennessee, we're working on the second edition of the Piscabulary book. And so he came up with the word uh, urine assurance. If someone said, what do you call the kind of insurance a pee drinker has? It's urine assurance. Anyway, so we're gathering more ideas and more words. If you have any, send them my way.
I will do.
Thank you. Homeopathic. I put homeopathic tinctures in here. Not that I promote it and talk about it much, but it's worth discussing anyway. Basically, homeopathic is a way of using similar substances to heal something, like we mentioned
Mhm,
about snake venom. And what they do is they dilute it down to like 100 times. And they say that that dilution is recognized by the body, and the body uses that to heal itself.
mhm.
So whether you or anybody wants to take the time to dilute your orin or not, that's up to you. The only time I would think what?
Nah.
Eh, the only,
I suppose that's also a good way for somebody to get started to kind of get over that the mental blockages of I'm drinking my pee. Actually, one of the ways I got my husband started on it is you know how people drink like the apple cider vinegar and honey mixtures?
yeah.
Well, because the apple cider vinegar is so strong, like I would, we put that in there and I would just spurt like 10 milliliters or something just to start him out with. So you couldn't even taste it. Like now he'll just drink it straight. That's also another, if somebody is okay with the apple cider vinegar drinks, good way for it, for, people to get started with that too. So homeopathic. The
Mhm. All right, so that goes in the list of how to introduce it to newbies. I have some students who, for some reason, they still want to mix it with a juice, even though they've been doing urine therapy for a year or two. They'll mix it with orange juice, apple juice, pineapple juice, all kinds of stuff, because in their mind, they're going, I don't taste it.
Mhm,
I said, I want to taste it. I want to know I'm drinking my own.
mhm.
I don't want to get confused. I might be drinking Keegan's and I wouldn't know it. So, compresses for hair, feet, hands, also include the word brain. Compresses for the brain. And this is why we bring out the professional equipment. You got to know I love my job because I get to be silly, and I make a living doing. So these things are great for storing it in your hair. Even if some of it drips out, it works as a compress.
Mhm.
Or a brain or a head body wrap. So you can use this anywhere you want to, your feet, your hands, right? And those shower caps, by the way, they're not expensive at all. You can buy them for a couple of bucks at the store. They come in a 4-pack. So if you get bored with yellow, then you can switch to pink, and then you could switch to turquoise or purple. So this is what you're doing when you're doing these kind of compresses and all. So whether you're dealing with a burn, a rash, a bite, a cut, a sting, this will help to grow new layers of skin. So this is why we're doing this. Let me read something here from the chat, section 22 on the one page over. Throughout history, sages have been well aware of the hormonal effects of urine. They state, if a person is unable to urinate, the urine from somebody of the same sex is acceptable, but not somebody of the opposite sex. It has been long held belief, this is where I'm going to demystify this one. It has been a long held belief that female urine contains greater amounts of female hormones, such as estrogen, and if ingested over a long period of time, it might feminize a man. The opposite has also been held as a belief that if a woman ingests male urine containing extra testosterone, it'd have a masculinating effect on the woman, but this isn't true because this is based on superstition and theory. It's a universal panacea. So ultimately, it doesn't matter whose you use, whether it's male, female, adult, child, a healthy person, a sick person, a different race, or a different species, it's still going to help you get better.
Mhm. As a side note, my bath contains everybody's pee from my family. So myself, my husband, and my 5 kids.
Wow. Wow.
Just collect it throughout the day and then dump it in our containers to save it. So
How could you ever get sick? I mean,
exactly.
oh my goodness. Well, we're not going
We
to.
do keep like separate ones, like in the fridge. They each have their own little individual bottles that they take their shots with in the morning. But as far as like our big containers, like everybody's just goes together for the bathtub.
And are they also taking advantage of taking a bath in there?
I've got my 15-year-old son in there twice. My 13-year-old daughter did say she was going to wash her hair with it, so we'll start there. My 8-year-old daughter was in the tub for a little bit, but she said it was like burning. She's got a whole bunch of like bug bites and scabs and stuff on her legs from scratching. So we're easing them, and the 2 little ones, yeah, we're still working on them.
Okay, here's an experiment you may want to try sometime. I was taught in the rebirthing method, which is a conscious connected breathing. Have you heard of rebirthing?
Mhm.
Okay. And in the beginning stages of doing rebirthing, we wanted to remember our birth, stimulate memories, and heal belief systems that started during our birthing times of our life. So we would go under the water with a snorkel and a mask and breathe underwater for hours before coming up.
Oh.
Imagine what that's going to be like if you go into Orin bath with a snorkel and a mask, or without a mask with your eyes open, and see how long you can stay in the water before you get out of the water.
Mhm.
And
Did you
see what.
see my picture on the Shivambu hut?
No, I'll
Oh,
have.
it's my 15-year-old son sitting in the tub with his big goggles and a snorkel. He didn't go under.
All right, I have to see that. Photo by Keegan at Hut. Well, thank you for posting content because we need more of that.
I'm working on it.
I've been like the majority of the content poster, but it's nice to have other people and they go back and forth. So any questions about compresses
Um,
on any part of the body?
I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway. So when you're doing your hair thing, it doesn't make your hair smell.
No.
That was one of the things because of, my hair being dreaded. I kind of put off for a while because I was like, because it is such a process to wash my hair. It takes like at least 24 hours for it to fully dry. Um, so I was like, I kind of avoided doing anything with that. But the other day, actually, what I did, and I posted a picture of this too in the Shivambu hut, is in order to like just get my scalp, I flipped the rest of my hair outside of the tub and I like quick went in and submerged myself till my scalp was done. And then I got out and just let it sit in the sun for a little while. And it didn't smell. So, in case anybody's concerned about that.
Yes. Yes. Invite them to do sun drying.
Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful. So Orin deodorant is pretty self-explanatory. Throw away all the deodorants and antiperspirants that have aluminum and chemicals and you name it in it, and just use.
Doing
And
that too.
after a while, you're not going to smell anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you sweat, you don't smell like pee. You smell like sweat. So that's the deodorant version. It can either be under the arm or a hairy chest or on your feet or whatever it is. That's where you apply it, wherever you need to. Now, Orin by the bedside, we got about 20 minutes before we take a break here. Orin by the bedside. Now, there are some ideas that I have put in my books. There are some people who have braced it and run with it, thought these were great ideas. And the Orin by the bedside, I'm not sure how much people got this, but if you keep it by your bedside, you might have a little nightstand or something with two drawers and a lamp, whatever. You can put it by your bedside. The whole idea is to clean the air around your head while you're sleeping. If people don't have a diffuser or a nebulizer, what I'd suggest, and I wrote this in the book, keep it unopened or open without a lid on it by your bedside, and it serves several purposes. One is to keep the air clean around your head. And the other thing is, if you wake up in the middle of the night, you can have a drink to get all those nutrients to help rest your nervous system and your adrenal glands and go back to bed.
Perfect.
So that's what Orin by the bedside is all about.
When healing the leg cramps and the Charlie horses.
Perfect.
That's a good trick for that.
Yes, you still get those?
Not anymore. I used to, especially I think when I was pregnant, I would always get Charlie horses. But I believe that's linked to low iron also, isn't it?
Yeah, that and magnesium.
Okay.
And there's some good magnesium products out on the market, one I use and recommend. And a lot of those are synthetic forms of magnesium. So you got to get the ones that are actually the right size molecule, the right size particulate in order to actually do you any good. And I've spent years trying to figure out what's the best form of this and the best form of that, and it carried me back to urine.
Why do you need anything else?
We don't, but there are those, and I've had to make multiple videos on this subject, that people, their intentions are good, and they're buying all the popular supplements because the people who sell these supplements are really well researched and well educated. They're also damn good salesmen. And so people are reloading up their medicine cabinet with more supplements than they'll ever need. And I am unloading all the supplements.
Yeah.
not having, and I listen to these guys and they're great salesmen. They sound wonderful and they're good at marketing. I'm going, but there's always their agenda. And here comes the product commercial.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep. I was watching a video earlier today about how this guy is aging backwards.
yeah.
He's 62, not the Brian Johnson guy. That's a whole nother story. He's 62 and his body age is like 38, but he
Mhm.
takes like 100 supplements a day. And I'm like, well, first of all, most people can't even afford that. Like that's just it blows my mind. Blows my mind.
Yeah. So that's something I like to talk about, because if you're being run out of fear that you're missing something and this is your savior, then you're off.
Mhm.
Keep looking for, oh, that's the thing. No, that ain't the supplement this week. No, now it's going to be this supplement. And I've had to filter that out in the platforms that I'm on, because people are saying, you
Mhm.
got to try this, you got to try that, you got to try that. I said, I'm going to outlive you. You work on that. All right. So Manjeshri Abhinav, I mentioned her in the book. At the time, she was the admin for the Urine Therapy India Facebook group. And, I like adding writings from people from various cultures and traditions.
Mhm.
And so she brought her teaching and understanding of urine therapy. And so I included her in the book. Let me just read a passage from her. Page 135. Give special attention to painful areas. You can use a cloth for the back. Wash off with water, and you'll be surprised to find that there's no smell. On the contrary, you're left with a clean, sublime feeling. Like a baby, loved and cherished, let go of all your angst and relax in the sheer abundance of this self-love practice. Regular pee baths, according to Dr. Patil, will make you as strong as an elephant. When you're ready, start drinking more Shivambu. Allow your body to naturally change the diet toward eating more fruits, salads, less sugar, less fried stuff, and introduce weekly fasts wherein you drink all the Shivambu you pass during the day along with water. This is also called Amaroli Kriya, or in fast or looping. You won't feel hungry, as Shivambu makes sure you get all the required nutrients you need. You can also use looping during intermittent fasting, like skipping breakfast, which is great for losing weight. She also mentions avoid chemical things like hair color, perfumes, powder, lipstick, makeup, face creams, bleaches, scrubs. Go herbal. Better still, go minimal. Shivambu is the God-given provider. Regular use of it will eliminate the need of all these things. And for the people who catch this, they're glad they did, because all the money they're saving, they could use it on other things.
I pretty much have that exact same thing notated here. Because when you're like I put like challenge the clients to look at like all the products that they use, figure out how much they're spending on this. Because I was totally guilty on that. I was spending like $300 a month on like all this face care chemical laden stuff before I knew about any of this. And just like think about how you can spend the time that you're no longer using those, like the time, the energy, the money that you're no longer using or having to go shopping or searching online for like all these products, and get into other things like learning how to meditate better.
Yeah. Or learn to identify indigenous plants out in the
There
wild.
you go. Yeah, that's a great hobby.
Mm-hmm. And I've enjoyed that out here in Hawaii, because I'm finding, I found wild, let's see, purslane grows here, dandelion
Ooh.
grows here, mimosa pudica, I found wild tobacco grows here,
Ah,
all kinds of berries, all kinds of medicinal plants. Yeah, once you can identify them, you don't have to worry about what happens to our food supply.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now would be a good time to learn that stuff. If you haven't
Yes.
already. So the last thing she mentions, and I'm going to just remind us. Now, what you cover, we've already explained what to cover the jar with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Labeling the jar, that's up to you. That's the only way that you can determine if it reaches a certain maturing rate or an age. This is why people put a date. And I did that for the first umpteen years when I was doing this, and then I decided it's ridiculous. I just intuitively, I'll go, well, that jar's behind that jar and that jar's behind that jar. That's probably a lot older. I'm going to grab that one.
Yeah.
Without trying to figure out what's the date on it and does that really matter whether it's going to be used or not. So whether you cover it or not is optional because nothing is going to contaminate it. It's a sterile water. Anything it touches is going to sterilize, alchemize, transform. So the only reason you cover it is so nothing can fly in there or crawl in there,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you keep your jars. And last on this protocol, which is just as important as everything on this list, is rest. After you are healed and in good health, continuing the daily practice with UT protocols, along with a good diet, you will be assured for your best insurance for a long and healthy life. Never allow yourself to become regularly exhausted or overtired. Consistent proper rest is crucial to health. Once you've recovered from a major illness or from pushing yourself too hard to accomplish anything, be vigilant and mindful of getting abundant rest and relaxation. Now, I've gotten this habit, maybe I learned it from growing up in Texas, from watching people practice the siestas. You know,
Just partying.
siesta is what they do in Mexico is after around between 12 and 2, they take a nap for a half an hour.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I'm not sure if they do it here as much, but I know when I lived in Italy, they like the lunchtime, like everything just shut down during lunchtime.
Yeah. Well, I used to think it was a tradition. You know, they worked hard, they have a bite, they're going to take a nap. And then I realized they eat a lot of beans and rice and corn and a lot of things that knock me out anyway. So I got in the habit of I learned how to put my hand over my heart and my stomach, and I can drop deep into stillness in about a minute or two.
Oh, wow.
So wherever I'm at, I can go into a deep meditation in a couple of minutes. And I got myself in the habit of unplugging from the intensity of creating, and working, and just reset, make sure you decompress, discharge, whatever it is. And then your battery gets filled up, and then you can be just as strong for the next phase of the day without burning out at 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
So instead of sitting and scrolling through your phone on your lunch breaks, not that I do that. I mean, once in a while when it's been, kids are like, I'm just kind of like, just let me just. But I feel like that's become so commonplace now. Like a lot of people's way of resting and relaxing is just continuing to sit on their phones and just, kind of numb themselves out with that. And that is the opposite of what we should be doing is coming back into our bodies and learning how to actually recharge ourselves with things that are not outside of us.
Exactly. When you can add that to things you do mindfully, like meditate mindfully,
Mm-hmm.
silent your mind mindfully, walking out in nature mindfully, then you become not only more and more mindful of these actions and these practices, but you become more aware of who you are and your surroundings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in 2024, this is the time, I know I get a little preachy sometimes. This is the time you need to be more aware than ever before, because you never know what's going to come in what direction from who. And it'd be nice to know yourself enough. So if you have to like take evasive action or raise your vibration, tone, whatever it is, your awareness has got to be taken care of. And this is why I had to get off drugs and alcohol, because it dumbs you down. You can't be aware of what you need.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the people are going to play this back later on. Be more aware. All right. Any last questions about any of the protocols that we've reviewed and taught and went through during the last couple classes? Any questions about any of the protocols?
I wouldn't say any questions. I would say
Clarification.
consider dry brushing for skin conditions too, because that's also a really good, helps move the lymphatic system.
I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things we sell at the shivalifestyle.com store is
Dry brushes?
loofahs on a rope.
Oh, there you go.
So you soak that loofah with your Orin and massage your back with it while you're in the shower out in the backyard.
I have actually taken one of the dry brushes like in the tub before too and like scrub myself while I'm in there. Not sure if it's as effective. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It feels nice.
Well, what's the whole idea? To get rid of dead skin cells, or
Well, yeah, it's
wake
to
up?
like what dry brushing is to like help like make up your system, slough off, slough off like the dead skin cells that are on you. So I mean, you could like dry brush before you go in, and then brush with a wet brush. I have two of them, so it works that way. While you're in there to help just kind of like penetrate it deeper into your skin, I would assume.
Yeah, I agree. It's a terrific idea. Maybe in the next book, that's going to go in. Who knows? All right. So what we're going to do here, we're going to take a break in about 7 minutes. We're going to go into what's called general treatment suggestions. And the reason we're going to call them general treatment suggestions, do you know why?
You're not diagnosing?
Right. And who's allowed to diagnose and prescribe?
Doctors,
Nurses, medical. Yeah.
medical professionals.
Right. Air quote. So we're not in that category, and for a good reason. And so what we call it is general treatment suggestions. And when you do the general treatment suggestion, we're going to learn this in this chapter. After you've asked questions and you've done some inquiry and you determine what would be the best route to take, then you can suggest certain protocols and explain to them why. So this is why this chapter is in the book. One of the most interesting pieces of information on Orin I came across was the fact that the amniotic fluid that surrounds human infants in the womb is primarily Orin. The infant breathes in Orin-filled amniotic fluid continually. Without the fluid, the lungs don't develop. Doctors believe that the softness of a baby's skin and the ability of in utero infants to heal quickly without scarring after pre-birth surgery is due to the therapeutic properties of this Orin-filled amniotic fluid. UT works for some people and not for everyone. Is that an interesting question?
Question or statement?
It's a statement. I'm always questioning everything. One of the things I question when people say, well, will it heal everything? And the
That's
answer
up
is
to you.
yes and no. Yes. It all depends on you, your approach to it, your diet, your lifestyle, your attitude. A lot of things are going to affect that. And the reason is because healing is more complex than just drink it and wish them well. So, and this is something you need to know as an upcoming teacher, that you're going to have people go, well, I drank it every day and I'm still suffering and it's not seeming to be helping. Is there something, am I doing it wrong? Or is this not for me? Blah, blah, blah. And you get to say, well, I need to ask you a couple of questions to see do other than just drink your orange.
Yeah, back to my earlier reference about my friend with the mycotoxins. I did also put in a caveat, and I was like, it does, require some mental, emotional changes and adjustments in lifestyle because, she's smoked cigarettes and whatnot. And it's just kind of, okay, well, thanks. Okay. Didn't push it, just left it at that. Plant
Yeah.
the seed.
Yeah, good work. Good work. That's exactly what you'd want to do. People who are miserable inside or self-destructive have more work to do than grateful, joyous people.
Mhm,
You notice the people with a good attitude, they heal faster.
mhm, mhm,
People who are grateful that people have the right approach, they heal faster. And a lot of
mhm,
times it's beyond our understanding of what healing and timelines are all about.
mhm.
Now, when I'm doing consultations, and I started this years ago, I will ask them within the first 5 or 10 minutes, if we could do a quantum healing and heal everything in the session, would you be open to that?
I'm sure most people are like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, roll up your sleeves. We got some work to do. Got to be honest with yourself. You got to look deep and you got to make the changes.
Mhm.
And those that
Being
are,
being radically honest with yourself, even when it hurts. That was my notation to that statement.
yeah, and you get results quicker too.
Mhm,
You'll also be able to push through anything else that arises in you that challenges you, triggers you, pisses you off. You can find, no pun intended, you can get through it a lot quicker because you're being honest about it and you find out what's really bothering you.
mhm, mhm,
It's usually not what you thought it is.
mhm,
A well-trained, intuitively sensitive UT therapist makes inquiries into all the areas of their life and develops a well-rounded program that accelerates, deepens, and brings results. Detailed questioning is more thorough than just advising the client to do UT protocols and wish them well. Studying and knowing the basics of the nutritional profile. God, I need a drink. What can I drink?
Great for dry throat also.
Oh, I'm so glad I got in the habit of keeping it in the car because you find yourself in all kinds of places and situations, and oh, I've got what I need right here in the car. Oh, this is great. I'll put it back. For example, working with clients who are stressed, this is why knowing at least a general understanding of what the nutrients are in this water, particularly if you studied nutrition like I did for many, many years, and you know what kind of things people go to the health food store to buy, then you can say, well, let's see. You're dealing with stress, exhaustion, low energy, your adrenals feel wiped out, you feel like you're on overload. Well, let's look a little closer. What are the things you buy for that to
Mhm,
relax? Melatonin, serotonin, DHEA, oxytocin, magnesium, B vitamins. It's in the water, right? And that explains why you feel calmer throughout the day. People who drink this are always saying, I'm not sure how this works, but I feel calmer throughout the day. Well, you
My
don't need
8-year-old said that to me the other day.
to do that. Yeah, great, great confirmation. Yeah, the things that usually get to you, they don't.
Mhm,
Because when you're in a calm state of mind, you get answers and solutions a lot quicker. This is why meditation is so important.
mhm.
Because without meditation, people are too reactive, and you can tell. So, any questions before we take a little break here?
Nope.
I'm just going to read this last paragraph, and then I can bookmark it to the next chapter. Stay on the safe side and only guide them along their Shivambu journey. Remind them the body heals itself when given the proper nutrients, and those nutrients are absorbed. That's the beautiful thing about using nano and picometer sized, molecular sized filtered plasma. It's small enough to get in the cells. It's small enough to get into the intercellular fluid all around the water of the cells. It's small enough to cross membranes. It's small enough to get into fascia. So mention that their body's innate intelligence custom manufactures the perfect elixir for their specific needs every time, and this is what's important to know. I mean, it gives you peace of mind to know, and this is trusting the divine, that what you need will be given to you when you need it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you can remember that, you can relax and not go into anxiety or panic mode.
Yes.
How come Martha Christie didn't teach that? Eh.
I don't know. I haven't gotten through the whole book yet.
This is why I keep presenting it in my books, because the emotional, psychological component needs to be addressed in anybody's. So we're on the chapter entitled General Treatment Suggestions. And generally, I'm just going to read a little bit from the book here. Generally, in cases of chronic or serious diseases, it's useful to do an orin fast with distilled water or straight orin, foot soaks, navel soaks, orin enemas, and have regular orin massages. This is referred to as, quote, intensive treatment. In most cases, even when relatively healthy, this intense form of UT is highly cleansing and health giving. So this morning on Facebook, someone said, if I'm doing an orin fast, can I mix it with juice? Can I mix it with water? Can I have electrolyte drinks? Can I have milk with it? I said, well, you're making it your own, which is beautiful. You're customizing your own fast, but true fasting is little or nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a liquid, preferably orin because it's so nutritionally dense, or distilled water, or fresh squeezed juices. So people are so attached to their food, they want to customize what we know as fasting.
Yeah.
So I let people know it's up to you. So on the next page are conditions. And where these came from is from the Golden Fountain, the complete guide to urine therapy book by Cohen Vanderkroon. He lists a lot more than what's in my books.
Mm-hmm. I think
But
that was actually one of the first ones I read.
oh yeah, me too. It was my Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And he had good illustrations and good photography in there. So what I did was I gathered up the most widely discussed health challenges and diseases that people are more commonly dealing with, and that's all I put in this list.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go through, the whole list. So what you're going to see as you go through this list, Keegan, is that there's some common protocols on almost every one of them. And the whole idea is to get really intuitive. Someone says, well, I have a liver condition. I've got psoriasis of the liver or hepatitis. And you know that, what does the liver control? Eye function, skin function, elimination. So you'll do a liver cleanse, you'll do eye rinse, you'll do enemas, massages, and you'll see that there is a thread in all of these. They all seem to get some similar protocols, and some are unique. Now, what I did, this is the 2020 version. What I've done was I've gone in and I added some notes of things that weren't in the book. Same with the second edition. So I'm just going to tell you what I added just so that you can either add it or just make a mental note. For example, under allergies, enemas, nasal soak, injections, fasting. And so I added compress to the lungs and to the sinuses. And you could also include nose drinking.
Just gonna say that.
Thank you. God, you're good. No,
Because it's all connected up there.
it is. Remember they had these special doctors, these specialty doctors called the nose, ears, and throat doctor?
Yes, yes, I've been there many times. Although, don't get me wrong, our doctor was fantastic, personality wise, one of the best doctors we've ever been to. But yeah.
Good.
I
All
don't
right.
I don't I don't think he knows much about this.
I doubt if any doctor does, but there are some doctors that they do, but they don't want to tell their clients.
That's somewhere in the book. I do recall reading that they know about it. They either don't know about it, or they know about it, or it would, and they don't say anything because it would essentially be a detriment to their career.
To their career, to their profession, to their
Hmm
lifestyle, to their
hmm
club membership, all of that stuff.
hmm
So under asthma, what's listed under asthma, just the by itself is, and this includes all lung conditions, saturation dosing, drinking, dietary changes. So what I've included was chest, compress, and nose drinking. One of the major contributors or causes of asthma is dairy foods, meat, mucus forming. So you have excess mucus in the body, and it's hard for people to breathe because it gets in their lungs.
Yes, I have not myself, but I have direct experience with that with my husband. Um, and I won't share too much, but I've told him many times, I was like, do you think that maybe you're lactose intolerant? He's like, well,
Well, he happens to like his food. And some people will not be convinced otherwise because
hmm
in a lot of years falling in love with these foods.
Yep. Especially when they're comfort foods and you grow up on them and, linked to traumas and all that kind of stuff.
Or you're from Wisconsin and it's a big dairy state.
I'm not from Wisconsin. He's from Wisconsin. I just
How-
wound up there.
Well, I grew up in Texas and they're big meat eaters.
Oh, yes.
But I went the opposite directions when I discovered raw foods. I'm going,
hmm
this isn't food. This is not really food. All the stuff our parents gave us, it wasn't food, but they didn't know
hmm
different.
Yeah, and there's like a huge resurgence of the carnivore diet now. I was watching, I won't say the doctor because I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I was watching a video about that this morning and he was like promoting the carnivore diet and how he's going to live to 136. I was like, and what about your parasites? I bet they love that too.
They do, and you can cook your meat all you want, and those parasites have a strong life urge.
hmm
And who wants to eat dead parasite bodies?
Yummy.
So let's see what else. Under brain injury or related diseases, definitely include nose drinking. Under dizziness. Oh, under candida, I included douching, giving yourself
Oh.
douching. Under dizziness, include foot soaks and body massage. See, when you study teachings like Louise Hay, Heal Your Body book,
hmm
you know that there is a psychological component that they're not addressing. And oftentimes dizziness and equilibrium problems is a result of someone who is in conflict with their way of being, right? Or
Makes sense.
they're in conflict between wanting to live and wanting to die.
Mm.
So they're not all here. They're not all in their body.
Makes sense, yeah.
So this is why I included these. Under energy fatigue, I included enemas and foot soaks. Multiple sclerosis, include massages. Prostate issues, you definitely can include implants, also known as a basti. You've heard that term?
Mhm.
Oh, good. Under shock, include nose drinking and injections. Because when someone goes into shock, you want to bring them back as soon as you can, so they don't cause any disruption in their body functions.
Now, in that case, you're talking about just like, and I know injections aren't covered like a whole lot because they're still kind of,
Controversial.
yeah. Are you using just like the, what are they, like the insulin needles? Things like that, or?
Whatever you got. If you got a hypodermic needle, right? And
Mhm.
it's the typical needle, it's got holds about, I don't know, 20 milliliters with a plunger at the end.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a specialty needle, but that's what most people
I
use.
don't know. You can just pee in a cup and then just,
Yeah, most people put it in their butt muscle, but yeah.
so intermuscular, not intravenous.
I wouldn't I wouldn't rule it out because some people have done it intravenous just to see if it made any difference.
Mhm.
Dr. Group did that once. He just shot it in his arm and he says, yeah, it works just fine. It wasn't any better, any worse, but he wanted to test it out.
Mhm. That'd be another interesting thing to study in the lab.
Mhm. Yeah, it'd be nice to get some stats on that one. The
Mhm.
last page on the general treatment suggestions, tinnitus, I included foot soaks. That way you're going to cover the toe, excuse me, the ear reflexology points, which are the last two toes on either foot.
Oh,
You got the outer ear and the inner ear all the way to the eustachian tube. That's on the last two toes, last two fingers. These are the eye points. Jesus. Okay, so eye points are on the next two fingers, and then the thumb is pineal gland and pituitary.
okay.
Under UTI, include massage and navel soak. Under vaginal problems, include foot soaks. And warts, why would you want to include massage enter if someone has warts or pimples?
Sorry, you cut out there a little bit. Why would you want to include?
Would you want to include Orin massage if somebody is dealing with warts, acne, skin blemishes?
Just to get it into the infected area.
Yeah,
Affected? Yeah.
yeah. Also because the metaphysical cause of warts is uh, not loving yourself and not feeling that your appearance is beautiful.
Oh,
They're considered ugly thoughts about ourselves.
I've never heard that before.
Get out your Louise Hay book.
I'm pretty sure I have that one too. I have most of my I have so many books, but most of them are on their way here yet. So I have a lot that I have to review.
Okay. Three more items. Two more items. Vaginal problems include foot soaks. And in particular, if you're soaking the feet in your tub, make sure that the Orin gets as high up to the ankles
Because
because you're
that the reproductive organs is by your ankles.
both man and woman. And warts, I might have mentioned
Hmm.
massage compresses or body wraps. Depends on where the warts are. Now, I've had these things on the side of my temple And after putting on Oran, they come off like little bumps. They're right on the edges, but they eventually harden and fall off.
But not like skin tags?
Skin tag, same thing,
Huh, okay.
right? And I've got a little left over here, but it's going to fall off any time now. A friend of mine who is a trained, what do you call it, a skin specialist?
Dermatologist?
Dermatologist. She used uh, a liquid nitrogen that froze it off. She would spray it on and it burned
Oh,
for a second, but that's what she used to take.
molluscum is what they're
Molest-
called.
Okay.
Because two of my daughters had that, and they're like contagious and they spread. They're not like bad. They're just like they just little tiny bumps. Yeah, and before I knew about the stuff, like we had to do that with them, which was not fun taking a baby and a little girl in there to do that. That was kind of traumatic.
Yeah. All of a sudden you hit him with this real cold feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went for several treatments and it didn't quite take.
Mm.
But I kept doing the Oran the whole time. And then eventually one side dried up, fell off. So you got to stay consistent. The timeline is up to the body. It's not up to us. When people ask, get used to it, they're going to ask the question, how long does it take to heal this and heal that? And I'm going, you're kidding me. You're going to ask me, you can't determine that. It's up to you and your body, but you can't not do it.
Yeah, yeah. I would assume also for like anybody, because this is one of the things that I'm working on fixing is like tightening loose skin after weight loss. I would assume body wraps would also probably be really good for that too, because you're driving it in further with the heat and then along with dry brushing and some saunas and some baths. I'll keep everybody updated on that.
And that would also include stretch marks.
Yes, yes. I had this discussion with my friend the one time because she knows I'm all like, he will help everything. And she deals with a lot of various issues. And I made the comment, I was like, well, my plan is because after breastfeeding 6 children, they're not as perky as they used to be. So I had made the comment about, I'm going to heal and tighten my skin, and so I don't have to, get a boob job or whatever. She's like, well, if they fix your boobs, I will definitely start doing urine therapy then. I was like, sold.
Oh my goodness, you've got to document this
I will.
because the other women in this community will want to know.
Yes, yes, I know. I plan on documenting, like I said, on September 2nd, I'm going to start a 40-day fast, and I'm going to do kind of what was in the intensive with the bathing and the foot soaks and all the enemas and all that kind of stuff. So I plan on documenting the journey through that and before and after pictures and whatnot. So
Okay.
keep
I mean,
everybody updated.
it's optional if you want to, take your breast public for the picture.
Put pasties on.
Yeah, either that or wear goggles.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are. Lots of fun we have. Any question about the general treatment suggestions?
Mm, no, no, there's a lot of different things to cover with that though, that's for sure.
There is. And so my suggestion is practice them, play with them, study them until you get really intuitive, and then you can design your own without having to refer to your notes. I mean, I've got it down so that when people ask me on social media, oh my God, I didn't know I was in for questions and questions and questions. Platforms, I go to check when they say, well, let's weigh in, Brother Sage. What would you do in this situation? And I've decided if it's worth my time and energy is to stop what I'm doing to go and be, the answer man on social media. Sometimes I will and sometimes I won't.
You just need an FAQ page, all the questions and all the answers. Just link to that every time.
Thank you. I need to get someone who'll set that up. All right, so these are the general treatment suggestions, which you'll eventually learn how to develop your own. There may be new things that come up, new conditions that weren't on this list, or new conditions that weren't in Cohen Vanderkruen's book. They're always making up new diseases. I remember 12 years ago, 15 years ago, they said shyness was a disease
Oh, good Lord.
and that there's a drug that will help cure sinus. That's
Mm,
called self-esteem,
mm.
self-love, but you can't sell that.
Oh, just like ADHD wasn't a thing how many years ago, and then all of a sudden everybody has it. Vaccines. Oh, excuse me.
Yep. Yep. It's recorded. Shh. All right. And let's go into, we've got approximately 25 minutes here. Chapter 10. How to design the protocols and wellness practice for a client to produce radiant health. Making inquiries or probing into the lives of a client determines the direction of the session. So you never assume anything when someone comes up to you and they got this condition, that. Don't assume you have the answer. Don't play doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is to ask enough questions so you have something to base your answers on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where practice really helps. Inquiry helps you to understand a holistic approach or overview of their life, to build protocols, practices, and a program that brings the results they came to you to achieve. Just telling them to drink their water and try UT protocols and sending them away to figure it all out is not only a disservice to your client, but they will have a much harder journey when only approaching health from the physical or material form. Here are some questions that you can ask or contemplate for your clients. Now, the next couple chapters, there's more and more of these questions, and I dug into my brain to remember, what would I ask? What would they ask? And so this
Mm-hmm.
is what I compiled all these questions. What motivated you to start UT? Was it a person, a curiosity, an illness? What was your influence? What went through your mind when you were considering taking your first drink? Can you recall any defining moments that stand out that inspired your decision? What mental obstacles, if any, did you have to overcome the first drink? Was it easy or difficult for you to do this, or did you have to deal with a gag reflex or feelings of disgust? What UT protocols are you currently practicing, and which do you use every day? Have you tried a variety of the UT protocols? What are your favorites? What did you study, or what are you studying now to further your education? Would you say that you are as passionate and outspoken about Shivambu? Are you serious about telling others about your UT discovery and personal success? Now, if you're like a lot of people, and I was the same way, I bought every UT book on the market. I have students that go, I bought yours, I bought Martha Christie's, I bought J.W. Armstrong, I bought his and I bought hers, blah, blah, blah. I said,
Mm-hmm.
good. I put the books away and get to work.
Yep.
You got
Yep. The analysis paralysis.
Mhm. Yeah, you get lost in all that. Can you
Mm-hmm.
explain the transition people go through in order to get the most from their practicing UT? For example, diet choices, lifestyle, mental changes, or beliefs about oneself. What advice would you give to newbies about taking that important first step? I'll ask you the question. Someone comes up to you and say, I heard about urine therapy, but I don't know where to start. What would you suggest?
Um, well, I would say start small, or start big. I guess it depends on how you feel about it. If you're very averse to it, do the pinky thing or a little squirt under the tongue. And if you're not, then just give it a shot.
Yeah, perfect. And if they're if they're hesitant about drinking, what would you do? What would you suggest as an introduction?
Yeah, starting out with the more topical stuff. Foot soaks are a great way to start because your feet have the largest pores.
Belly button soak.
Yep, belly button soaks. Any kind of topical rubbings, things like that.
Good. So that's what you do. Someone comes up and says, I want to get started. How do I get started? Well, here's some suggestions, and here's a list of books that I'd recommend so you
Mm-hmm.
can with your education and not call me every day. I have this gal from Israel. She's constantly calling me on WhatsApp. What about this? What about that? What about this? Blah, 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 blah. I said, did you take my class? Yes. Well, I have more questions. Well, review your notes, buy another book. Otherwise, I'm giving out all this free advice. All right. Any questions about any of that? What we've done?
Nope. I have a whole bunch of other questions that I added to the list as I was going through that. So now,
Okay.
do you like when you are taking on clients, are these people that have already kind of started their UT process, or are these people that are like totally haven't even taken a first sip yet, or it's a kind of like a mix of both of them?
I would say the majority of them have either started UT the day before, a week, a month, a year.
Hmm.
They're still not sure what they're doing.
Okay.
They haven't really dug into the material. They heard about my work. They reached out. They said, well, what do I do and how do I do this? So, I go into more detail with them.
Hmm. Hmm. Makes sense.
So it all depends where they are in their journey.
Mhm.
I enjoy the people who've been at it for several years, but they just need fine tuning.
Yeah.
And I've been getting more guys in their 70s and 80s.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, they want their youth back. They hate doctors and they want to do something with their diet and their life. And I've been coaching them and guiding them.
That's amazing. It's good to see that the more mature generation is coming back around to this kind of stuff.
Well, they don't want you kids to have all the fun. They're going, I want in on that action. I mean, what can I do? I can't guarantee you're going to have an active romantic life, but we can work on everything else. Whatever it takes for people. All right, we're on chapter 11. Chapter 11. Clearing the mind. Negative beliefs, associations, ideas, including suggestions, theories, and myths taught to you by our friendly medical industry.
Hmm.
It's amazing how many people don't like that anymore, but learning a client's beliefs about Orin and if they've considered drinking their pee gives you a clearer picture of what direction to take the conversation and initial consultation. Beatrice Barnett wrote the book Miracles of Urine Therapy. She has a great approach for handling aversions to drinking Orin. Throughout the civilized world, blood and blood products are being used in the medical world without evoking the repugnance associated with Orin. We use prepackaged cells, blood plasma, white blood cells, countless other blood components. Orin is nothing other than a blood plasma product. And I might have mentioned this before, that when somebody's in the ambulance heading to the hospital, the first responder is dripping a plasma into their arm.
Hmm.
They're not dripping blood, red blood, they're dripping gold plasma. So when it's donated to the blood bank, they separate it. And the plasma is used in these kind of situations.
That's what have you heard of BioLife?
No, what's that?
Um, we had one right where we used to live. There, you go in and you donate plasma.
Mhm.
You pay like, I don't know, $200 a session or something like that. I never did that, but yeah. I mean, people are really keen to donate their plasma for a couple $100, but
Yeah,
that goes to other people though.
true, true. And their plasma is free.
Yep, yep.
So maybe in the next paradigm shift, first responders will inject Shivambu into people's veins.
Hmm. That would be very interesting.
that's the case, they could possibly let him out of the ambulance before they arrive at the hospital. You're fine. Get off the gurney. Go back to your life.
Save on those medical bills, that's for sure.
Yes. So pee was part of your blood just minutes before and flowed elsewhere through your body, possibly through your tongue. Since urine is not poisonous or disgusting while in the body, why is it considered repulsive as piss? Overcoming objections in a sensitive and compassionate manner is crucial to a successful session. Anyone who criticizes or challenges you about this modality is someone who never did their research and is repeating what they have been taught about urine. And when you've had these been thrown at you as often as I have, you can easily, within seconds, know where their reference point is.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do the homework. They're just repeating what they were told.
Mm-hmm.
They believe it. They believe what they were told. So here you are, you're wanting to find an opening in their mind to introduce a new idea. And so you have to, come up with different routes, different ways to word it so they'll actually receive it.
I'm guilty of going on a bit of a YouTube comment rant the other day, because there was, oh gosh, what is his name? Chris something was on Dr. Group's podcast. No, not him.
Christopher Keys?
Yeah, there you go. And it was this guy just making this podcast, just bashing everything about it. And at the end, he's like, the only case in which urine is acceptable to drink is if you're severely dehydrated and you have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 more days to live. And I'm just calmly like, well, first of all, because he was like, the kidneys, are expelling the waste. I was like, first of all, it's your liver that takes out the toxins. Secondly, maybe pick up a book and do your research. That was fun. That was a fun day. I don't know if he responded or deleted it. I don't know. I didn't go back and check. I didn't really care.
Oh, well, Christopher, he's been on television. He's been on CNN and all kinds of places because he branded himself as the vaccine police. And so he was teaching everybody under that brand, he was teaching everybody about urine therapy.
Oh, okay.
And so he's in all these television shows and and they were spinning it like, oh, this guy is crazy. He's a nut.
Yep. One of the headlines I saw was sovereign citizen, which is an oxymoron, by the way. Now thinks he doesn't treat pee drinking, and now thinks he doesn't need a driver's license. Well, technically you don't. Do your research for you.
He was right.
Anyhow, yep.
Depends on who's controlling the narrative.
Yep.
Another deal here. After being a product of discipline, page 158, I turn to the next page here. We've got about, do you want another 10 minutes of talking about whatever you want off record?
If you have time, sure.
I love this kind of stuff because we can talk about all kinds of cool stuff. All right. After being a product of discipline, you will know that how to assist your clients in finding their way. What will they think of me? These are some of the questions that come up for my clients, so I had to address every one of them. What will they think of me if I become a pee drinker? People don't want their partners and their kids or their mother to know they drink their pee. Right? It's a trust issue. Remind the client that what they think about themselves matters most, and what other people think about them is none of your business. So you got to clear your mind, the whole field about, oh, they're judging me. No, you're judging you, projecting on them, and really nothing there. I'm going to feel embarrassed and think that others are criticizing me. Once again, you give reassurance that they're okay just the way they are. Here's a question. Are you insane or in a cult? That's another trust issue. Is it safe? Another trust issue. Give them reassurance. I have been drinking my pee for 30 years, and I feel greater every day. 500 million people worldwide are alive and well because they drink their wee every day. Does that tell you? Is orange really sterile or full of germs? Well, the answer is really sterile, and they debunked the germ theory about 7 years ago.
Mm.
Thanks to Dr. Tom Cowan and some other brave naturopaths, they came out publicly and said, there are no germs. It's just a detox symptom from your cells.
Mhm.
And what's causing you sick is what you ate or what's inside you dumping stuff in your body like parasites. Why does orange smell sometimes? Well, that's because it's converted the uric acid into ammonia, and it'll eventually evaporate. I like to associate evaporated ammonia with outgassing from a rug. Because over a period of time, that smell goes away. That chemical
Mhm.
smell,
Mhm. Mhm.
and with ammonia, it'll eventually disappear. So these are some of the questions that people have, and I wanted you to just know that. I'm not going to go into detail here. Why would anybody want to drink his or her pee? I'm on page 162. When I'm done explaining the truth about Orin and have answered all your questions, you'll be convinced. Only when your motivation or why is strong enough to take action to get well will you hear and understand why millions of people are healthier and happier. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. So this is what the chapter is about, is it gives you an idea of how to handle these objections. I'm just going to bookmark this for the next class. Here's a couple of quickies when somebody says, everybody knows it's disgusting. It's a waste product. It's something your body eliminates. The first question out of your mouth, where did you get that idea from? I love challenging people's belief system because they never thought it through.
Yep. Yep. Just repeating the narrative.
What if the doctors ever lied to us about anything? Oh yeah, they have. Well, how do you know this wasn't one of those things?
You know how lobotomies were such a cure-all for everything?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad they stopped that. Did they?
Yeah. Didn't they used to suggest smoking cigarettes at some point for
Health
whatever?
benefits?
Yeah.
In the 1960s, big pharma and tobacco industries formed a partnership, and you would see commercials with doctors endorsing Marlboro. I would go to my doctor and he'd be smoking a cigarette. I'm going, well, I don't get it. And it wasn't until that turned around years later that they stopped using that marketing technique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure they completely quit that out. That doesn't happen anymore.
Well, good. What's interesting is that